diseases of wheat. So scientific name is Triticum aestivum. It can be cultivated all over the world. And coming to the countries, China, India, United States are the largest producers and consumers of wheat. Now we will see what are the important diseases that occurs in wheat. My name is NH Shankar Reddy and I am doing PhD plant pathology in Annamalai University. So coming to the list of important diseases, and I listed important diseases here in wheat. So black or stem rust, which is caused by Puccinia graminis triticale, leaf or brown rust or orange rust, Puccinia regondita, yellow or stripe rust, Puccinia striformis. And on the right side, I mentioned the disease name. On the left side, on the right side, I mentioned the causal organism of the particular disease. And flag smut is caused by Eurocystis agropyri, rough spore bunt or sticking bunt, Tilicia caris, smooth spore bunt, which is caused by Tilicia fetida, and kernel bunt is caused by Neovesia indica, powdery mildew, which is caused by Erisife graminis vertice, Tundu disease or yellow slime or yellow rot or yellow cork disease, which is caused by Anguna triticale or Corynebacterium triticale, which is a nematode disease. So now we will see. Now we will see in detail about each and every disease. So the first one is black rust or stem rust. The name itself indicate symptoms can be appears on the stem regions. So which is the very important pathogen, which is a devastating pathogen all over the world. Now it is the most important pathogen and most problematic pathogen in production of wheat. So black rust or stem rust, which is caused by Puccinia graminis triticale. Puccinia graminis triticale is the causal organism of black rust or stem rust. Coming to the symptoms, as I told you, mostly the symptoms appears on stem. That's why it is named as stem rust. Symptoms are noticed mainly on the stem region. On the right side, we can see red to reddish brown color pustules. Reddish brown color pustules appears on the stem regions. Especially, we can see reddish brown color pustules on the stem regions. Sometimes it may appears on leaves. Appears on the leaf areas, or very rare it can appear on leaf areas, especially in the earlier stages of crop maturity we can see this in leaf areas, but the symptoms can mostly be seen in stem regions. Reddish brown color pustules can be seen on stem regions, and also sometimes mixed with the brown to blackish lesions can be seen, but the most diagnostic symptom or the most identification feature of the black rust or wheat stem rust is reddish reddish brown color pustules which occurs on the stem. That is the diagnostic feature of wheat stem rust, which is caused by Puccinia graminis triticale. So coming to the here, Puccinia graminis triticale, which is a very complex type of pathogen, whereas a biotropic pathogen, an obligate pathogen, it strictly requires a living host for their survival and the continuing of their life cycle. So here it is a polymorphic species, polymorphic in the sense where they can convert it into one form to another form. Now I'll explain why it is called as a polymorphic species. Producing different types of four or different types of generations can be produced. That is called polymorphism. Here the pathogen having a five spore stages. Stage 0 pycnial or pycniospores, pycnia which produce pycniospores, whereas stage 1 acium which produce aciospores, whereas stage 2 which produce iridia, that is produce iridospores, stage 3 telium produce teliospores, whereas stage 4 basidia which produce basidiospores. The same spore can be converted into whereas pycnia is converted into acia, then acia is converted into iridia, and iridia telium go to basidium. That's why it's called as a polymorphic species, or changing their the shape, or changing their features, or changing their conditioning. That's why it's called as a polymorphic species. Here the stage 1, which is a pycnium or pycniospores, this is the stage 1 where it is produced pycnium or in the pycniospores on the upper surface, whereas stage 0, that is pycnia, stage 1 acium or aciospores, this is acium or aciospore. Remember, this stage 0 and stage 1 can occurs in barberry, that is alternate host, secondary host, sorry, barberry, that is secondary host, that is required by the wheat stem rust pathogen. Coming to the iridial stage and the telial stage, that occurs in main host, that is wheat, that is occurs in main host, that is wheat. Make sure it is if it is a barberry leaf, on the upper surface it produce pycnium or pycniospore, on the corresponding lower surface it produce aciospore. This is the iridospore. This is about iridospore stage 2, and this is about teliospore. In wheat stem rust life cycle, all stages are monokaryotic in condition except telium, whereas the telium is dikaryotic in condition. Sorry, bicelled. Sorry, all are single celled, whereas telia is bicelled. We can see bicelled. They can ask questions like this: bicelled teliospore is produced by wheat stem rust, that is Puccinia graminis, it is like that. This is a basidium. This is basidium, from where teleospore the basidium can germinate and produce four basidiospores, and this can happen in soil. And these are all the different stages of wheat stem rust life cycle. If you want to know in detail about wheat stem rust life cycle, that I already did a video regarding wheat stem rust life cycle in principles and fundamentals of plant pathology. Please go and go through the wheat stem rust life cycle, so you can have more and more idea on wheat stem rust life cycle. Coming to mode of spread, the primary and secondary infection takes place mainly through airborne iridospore. So primary and secondary infection takes place through airborne iridospore. In the coming to the survival, the pathogen survive in alternate host, that is Barbary. Now I told you the stage 0 and stage 1 which happens in Barbary. Let us consider on the upper side spermatia formed, on the corresponding lower side of the leaf, on the lower side the Aeschiospores are produced. Here so for survival it required alternate host, that is Barbary, and it also can survive on crop debris and weed host, but the main alternative host is Barbary. Coming to the management aspects, we can use the resistant varieties, and short duration varieties will be helpful for, if we are using short duration variety, we can escape the timing of, we can escape the disease because of, especially due to climatic conditions, or if the crop ends their harvesting on or before the occurrence of the disease, it will be definitely helpful for farmers to escape the disease. And then eradication of alternate host, that is Barbary, will also be management practices. Then prophylactic spray of mancozeb, the trade name is Indophil M45, at the rate of 0.25%, or 2 to 3 curative sprays of propaganazole, which is commercially sold as a tilt. 0.1% concentration at 15 days interval can be sprayed, and seed dressing with oxycarboxyn or spray ginub at the rate of 2.5 kilogram per hectare can be recommended. And then some of the resistant varieties can be recommended. If you ask me, rather than all of this, you can go for resistant varieties that can give a complete resistance against plant pathogen. But because of the high complexity of the pathogen, whatever the resistant variety that is developed by the scientists, that can be easily overcome within 3 to 4, especially this wheat stem rust pathogen and as well as the rice blast pathogen, because of selection pressure and the continuous mutations, they can easily overcome the resistance. So resistant varieties like Lerma, Roge and Sonalica are recommended for this wheat stem rust. Coming to second disease, that is leaves or brown or orange rust, which is caused by Puccinia regondita. Puccinia regondita. Here in stem rust, I told you that the symptoms mainly observed on stems. That why it is named as stem rust. So here in leaf rust, the symptoms mainly occurred on leaf. On the right side, we can see the name itself indicates brown to orange color rust pustules appears on the surface of leaf. On the right side, we can see brown to orange color rust pustules can be appeared on the surface of leaves. The irregular arrangement of sori and their color is most distinguished character. This is if you see with if you can see with the microscope, we can see the irregular arrangement of the sori, and then this is the most distinguished characters, and that we can differentiate in between wheat stem rust and leaf rust. Whereas in leaf rust, symptoms mainly seen on leaf areas, so brown to orange color rust pustules, whereas in stem rust that can mainly occur on stem. So wheat stem rust is caused by Puccinia graminis triticum, whereas orange rust is caused by Puccinia regondita. So coming to the mode of spread, the pathogen is mainly spread through airborne iridospores. Here, for rust pathogens, iridospore plays a major role in terms of spreading. So coming to the survival, the pathogens survive in alternate route, that is Talictrum species. For wheat stem rust, it is a Barbary, whereas for wheat leaf rust is a alternate host is Talictrum species, and sometimes it can also spread. It can survive on crop debris. So coming to the management aspects, so mixed cropping with suitable crops will be one of the management practice, along with avoid excess dose of nitrogenous fertilizers and sulfur dusting at the rate of 25 kilograms per hectare, and as well as spray ginub at the rate of 2.5 kilogram per hectare can be recommended, and along with some of the resistant varieties also can be developed against this leaf rust, that is CPAN 1796, HB208, Shailaja, Lerma, Roj and Sonalika are the recommended resistant varieties against this leaf rust. Coming to third one, yellow rust or stripe rust, which is caused by Puccinia striformis. Coming to the symptoms are mainly noticed on the leaf, than leaf sheath and stem. So mainly we can see the symptoms in a leaf sheath, than stem and leaf. So bright yellow color pustules appears on the leaf in the earlier stages. In the earlier stages, bright yellow color pustules appears. Later, they slowly turns to dull black lesions because of the production of telia, or due to the maturity. So here in yellow rust, symptoms mainly noticed on leaves, then leaf sheaths and stem. So this yellow color spots are appears in the earlier stages. Slowly they converted to dull black in color. So each row consists of a oval or lemon shaped yellow color spots which are arranged. We can see here small or arrangement of spots and low arrangement of spots from starting to ending here. In severe cases, what will happen? Large patches become covered with the crowded pustules. Here we can see the severe cases. In severe cases, we can't see that small oval or lemon shaped spots. In the severe cases, these large patches become covered with the crowded pustules. Crowded pustules. In severe cases, crowded pustules can be seen. So coming to the mode of spread, as I told you earlier, all this rust pathogens are mainly spread through iridospore. Here the mode of spread is windborne iridospore. Coming to the survival, the fungi survive in crop debris as well as weed hose. So coming to the management practices, mixed cropping with suitable crops, avoid excess nitrogenous fertilizer, sulfur dusting and cleanup as well as of leaf rust, and some resistant variety like DWV 5023, HD2281, UP262, WH47, Lemma, Roja and Sonalika are the recommended resistant varieties for this stripe rust. So now we will going to see the differences between different types of wheat rust. Now we are seen three types of wheat rust. Now we will see the differences between these three wheat rusts. So coming to the characters, the disease, these are different types of disease and characters. Now we will see the pathogen. So black rust or stem rust is caused by Puccinia graminis stitici, whereas the leaf rust is caused by Puccinia regordita, whereas stripe rust is caused by Puccinia striformis. Make sure causal organisms whether we are matching to the particular pathogen or not. So location of iridosauri. So here mostly stem and leaf sheath. We can see this iridosauri mostly on stem and leaf sheath. In black or stem rust, in brown or leaf rust, Iridosauri can mostly seen on leaves, rarely on leaf sheath. Mostly seen on leaves, rarely on leaf sheath. Whereas in yellow or stripe rust, mostly we can see this Iridosauri in a leaf blade. In the leaf blade, this is leaf blade. Okay, in the leaf blade we can see this is the leaf blade, the middle region. So coming to the iridosauri or iridia, so reddish brown color iridia are produced in black rust or stem rust, whereas bright orange color iridia are produced in brown or leaf rust, whereas in yellow rust lemon yellow color iridia are produced. Coming to the iridospore, echinulated iridospore are produced in black or stem rust, whereas minutely echinulated iridospores are produced in brown rust as well as leaf rust. The color of the iridospore is brown in color in black rust and in brown rust, whereas in yellow rust, the color of iridospore is yellow in color. Coming to the teleosauri is black in color in black rust or stem rust, whereas dull black in color in brown rust as well as yellow rust. Coming to the teleospores are dark brown in color or chestnut brown in color in a black rust or stem rust, whereas brown in color in brown rust and a dark brown color in yellow rust. Coming to the teleospores, two-celled teleospore are produced in all the rust. You can take all the rust, black rust or brown rust or yellow rust. You can take all the rust produce two-celled teleospore only. That way I told you that they can ask questions like this. Double-celled teleospore is produced by wheat stem rust. brown rust and stripe rust. Mostly they can ask related to stem rust only because of their importance. And coming to the mode of spread, all are spread through airborne iridospore only. All are spread through airborne iridospore only. Mode of survival, that is alternate host. The black rust or stem rust can requires Barbary, that is Barbaris vulgaria and Mahonia as alternate host, whereas brown rust requires Thalictrum flavum isopyron species as alternate host. So for yellow rust or stripe rust, there is no alternative host has been discovered so far. I think in recent days and some of the species are discovered. I think so. I'm not sure. Maybe so far are not known, but recent days I had seen some species has been discovered for as an alternate host of this yellow rust or stripe rust. Let me come to know, and I will tell you in some other presentations. So coming to the iridospores and teleospores survives in stubbles and straws in case of black rust, whereas iridospores are dormant mycelium persistence in stubbles, that is waste materials after harvesting, that too brown color can survive in iridospores and dormant mycelium in stubbles, whereas in yellow rust or stripe rust, iridospores are dormant mycelium survives in stubbles as like of brown rust. So coming to the favorable conditions, black rust requires an average of 17 to 80 degree temperature for their best favorable conditions for their growth and survival. Growth and replication or multiplication as well as whatever. So coming to the brown rust or leaf rust requires 15 degrees centigrade, whereas yellow rust requires 11 degrees centigrade as favorable conditions. So coming to the teleal characters, we can see different types of teleospores. So both are double-celled, but here I'm going to tell you some, at the top end we can see some, erected or some sharp like structure at end of black rust teleospore, whereas in brown rust teleospore slightly curved or slightly curved end can be seen. I think it has some names. Actually, I forgot. Let me come to know. So, coming to the yellow rust, some flat, some a flat color teleospore, and the flat teleospores can be seen here. So this is the main difference. Whereas in a black rust, we can see this inverted V shape, whereas slightly covered in brown rust. Whereas in yellow rust, flattened end on upper end can be seen here. So coming to the next one, wheat loose mud, which is caused by Ishtulaginoda virens. On the right side, we can see the symptoms. So the entire inflorescence is converted, or entire inflorescence is replaced by black color smut spores. This is the diagnostic symptom of wheat loose mud, which is caused by Ishtulaginoda triticale. So here, entire inflorescence. These two are, this is the different types of different stages of infection. So here the entire inflorescence on the right side, and the picture of C, we can see the entire inflorescence is replaced by black color smut spores. What will happen? This black color smut spores are blown away by wind, leaving this entire ratches. For your understanding, I am telling you. Let us consider it is a panicle as like of rice, and in wheat we can call it as an inflorescence. So the entire inflorescence is replaced by smut color, black color smut balls in later stages. If the teleospores or the smut spores are blown away by by air or wind, we can see the only floral that ratches are remained, some only we can see the ratches or the like special inflorescence without grains, because all the wheat stem rust all the teleospores are blown away by wind. So it is a mainly spread through internally seed borne. It is an internally seed borne pathogen. It's a very very important question that we can see in different types of exams. So wheat loose mud is the best example of internally seed borne pathogen, and it can viable in seed. This pathogen can viable in seed on more than 15 years. More than 15 years. So here the main symptom is the inflorescence, which is replaced by entire inflorescence, which is replaced by black color smut spores. That is the main diagnostic symptoms of wheat loose mud, which is the internally seed borne pathogen. So coming to the management practices, hot water treatment. The seeds are soaked. The best management practices for wheat loose mud is hot water treatment. So the seeds are soaked in a cold water for 4 hours, or dipping with hot water for next initially they were soaked with cold water for 4 hours, then they were dipping in hot water for 52 degrees centigrade for 10 minutes with the one of the management practice. And the second one is solar heat treatment. Is a very familiar and famous treatment for controlling of wheat loose mud, which was developed by Luthra in the year of 1953. In solar heat treatment, what they will do, seeds are soaked before before sowing, or before sowing, seeds are soaked in a cold water for 4 hours, which is followed by spreading in then after soaking for 4 hours in cold water, then the seeds are dried in a bright place, and then for 4 hours, whereas after soaking in cold water for 4 hours, then they were shade dried, especially actually they told that sun dried, but it was actually shade dried for 4 hours. Then after shade drying, seed treatment with carboxin or carbendazim 2 gram per kilogram of seed can be recommended. Some of the resistant varieties also can be available, that is Kalyan Sona, C302, WG307 and PV18 are the recommended resistant varieties for this wheat loose mud. So coming to the flax mud, which is caused by Urocystis agropyri. On the right side, we can see the symptoms appears on the seedling stage. Especially the seedling stage are the most vulnerable stage for this flax mud. Seedling stage to maturity stage, the most vulnerable stage, and this can we can see on stem, corm, and leaves areas. So the grayish black sore appears on the leaf blade or on the leaf sheath. If this is the leaf and the leaf blade and the leaf sheath, we can see leaf blade and the leaf sheath. A gray sore occurs on the leaf blade and sheath. So this sore contains a black color powdery masses, and it produces no grains, and it is a very dangerous disease for the production of wheat flax mud, which is caused by Urocystis agropyri. On the right side, you can see the diagrammatic the symptoms. So coming to the management practices, treat the seeds with carboxin or binomial at the rate of 2 gram per kilogram of seeds, and burning of stubbles and long rotation of crop, and some of the resistant varieties also available, that is CI 13596, 13751, 13755, HP 1102, HS 86 and double G 377 are the resistant varieties for this flax mud. So coming to the rough spore bunt or sticking bunt and smooth spore bunt, that is Tilletia caris. And the symptoms I can see that diseased plants matured earlier than all the spikelets affected. Actually, the main this spore bunt or the rough spore bunt or smooth spore bunt, the main symptoms that we can see on the grains. On the grains, we can see black color smut spores or black color powdery masses can be seen. Here the grains are converted into, or grains are transformed into, or the spikelets which consist of grains are transformed into a black color smut spores. Black color smut spores can be seen. So this spore masses, after they matured very earlier, and if you see the spikelets are the grains, they converted into a black color smut spore. The grains are converted into a black color smut spore. This is the important symptom of spore bunt or sinking bunt. Coming to the management practices, seed treatment with carboxin or carbendazim 2 gram per kilogram of seed, and adapt shallow sowing also can be recommended. Then growing resistant varieties like Kalyan Sona, HD2201, and then 4513, 4519, PV18 and S227 are the resistant varieties for this. And coming to the kernel bunt, a very important pathogen. This Neovesia was named by B.B. Munkor, which is considered as the father of Indian plant pathology. So kernel bunt, actually this disease can be reported in the kernel district, kernel area. I think that's why they named it as a kernel bunt, which is caused by Neovesia indica. Here, yes, here we can see the first identified in the kernel, and hence it is named as kernel bunt. So infection starts in flowering stage itself. So the infected spikelets are converted into dark color smut spores or dark color sora. On the right side, we can see the infected spikelets or infected grains are converted into dark color smut spore. Here, this is the very dangerous pathogen that leads to 100% disease losses. 100% disease losses can be seen in kernel bunt. Coming to management aspects, so deep summer plowing, avoid continuous cropping of wheat in the same field, and some of the resistant varieties can be avoided, that is HD 2281, 2283, 2285, and D1115625023, and HD 231 2329 are the resistant recommended varieties. So coming to the differences between different types of bunts, that is rough spore bunt, smooth spore bunt, or kernel bunt. So now we'll see the differences, which is coming first one is a pathogen. So rough spore bunt is caused by Tilletia caris, whereas smooth spore bunt is called by Tilletia foetida. whereas kernel bun is caused by Neovesia indica. Coming to the damage or stage of infection, all the spikelets in the airhead are infected in rough spore bunt, and the seedling stage 8 to 10 days old plants can be infected. Coming to the smooth spore bunt, the seedling stage, all spikelets are infected, and the seedling stage 8 to 10 days old plant can be infected. Coming to the kernel bud, few spikelets in the ear head are infected. Only few spikelets are infected. At severe stages, all the spikelets will infected, and we can see complete black color smut spore only. And at flowering stage, this can be infected. Coming to the spore wall, reticulate and rough wall in rough spore bund, whereas smooth walled in smooth spore bund, whereas reticulate smooth walled in kernel bund. Coming to the spores, the spores are round in shape and 15 to 23 micrometer in diameter, whereas in a smooth spore bunt 70 to 22 meter micrometer in diameter, which is irregular in spec, whereas in kernel bunt spherical to oval spores can be seen with 22 to 49 micrometer in diameter. Coming to the resting period of spores, no resting period can be seen in a smooth spore bunt and a rough spore bunt. So if there is no roasting spore can be seen in a bunt, it is a leptospore. Leptospore means the iridospore germinate, or sorry, if I'm telling in terms of wheat rust pathogen. If the iridospore germinate without any resting period, it is called as leptospore. Leptospore, in the sense, if the iridospore germinate without resting period, is called as leptospore. Coming to the rough spore bunt and smooth spore bunt, no resting period can be required. And whereas in kernel bunt it requires a long resting period. Kernel bunt requires whereas a long resting period. So coming to the sporidia, H-shaped structure can be produced in rough spore bunt and smooth spore bunt, whereas in kernel bunt, long sickle-shaped primary sporidia and short stout basidium can be produced, and they do not fuse here in kernel bunt, whereas in rough spore and smooth spore bunt, H-shaped structure can be produced. Coming to the mode of spread, so both rough spore bunt and smooth spore bunt are externally seed-borne pathogens, whereas kernel bunt is soil-borne and airborne. Coming to the favorable temperatures, rough spore bunt and smooth spore bunt requires 18 to 20 degrees centigrade. It's a favorable temperature, whereas kernel bunt requires 15 to 20 degrees centigrade with high humidity and cloudy weather can be most favorable for kernel bunt. So coming to the powdery mildew which is caused by Erysife graminis triticea. And the powdery mildew itself indicates a powdery substance or powdery appearance can be, a white color powdery growth can be appears on leaves. On the right side we can see powdery growth, we can see on leaves, as well as on inflorescence also can be seen white color powdery growth. So here a gray grayish white powdery growth appears on leaf sheath, stems and floral parts. Leaf sheath, stems and floral parts. So white color powdery growth can be observed. Later that what will happen, this powdery growth later becomes to a black color lesions. Initially they appears to white color powdery growth, later slowly turns to black color lesions, and it causes drying of leaves and other plant parts also. This is about powdery mildew. So the coming to the management practices, dusting of sulfur at the rate of 40 kilograms per hectare, and along with growing resistant varieties like C591, E750, HD2189, 2278, NP710, UP1109, and VL421 are the recommended resistant varieties for this powdery. Tundu or yellow ear rot or ear cockle disease, which is caused by Anguna triticea, a nematode, and association with a bacterium, that is Corynebacterium triticea. So this disease is associated with the bacterium and as well as a nematode. Here we can see the two distinct phases of Tundu or yellow ear rot. So under high humidity and low temperature, Tundu phase is more conspicuous with both pathogen. In the presence of Anguna triticea and the Corynebacterium triticea, under high humidity, it is a very serious pathogen, and it can cause more and more losses. Under low humidity and high temperature, the ear cockle phase appears. Ear cockle phase appears, which is due to the nematode component of the disease. Here, in the presence of bacterium or in the presence of the nematode and bacterium as well, both can lead to severe damages. So coming to the symptoms, so on the symptoms we can see here. So the infected leaves may be rolled and twisted infected leaves may be rolled and twisted. We can see here the length of the inflorescence can be reduced. Here a spikelet infection is accomplished by yellow color exudation. So yellow color exudation can be observed in terms of Tundu disease, which is a nematode complex and along with the bacterial complex disease. In this disease, the spike length or the inflorescence length can be reduced, as well as the infected leaves may be rolled and twisted, and the spikes also can produce yellow color exudation. And as I told you that infected spikelets are smaller than that of normal spikes, and the glumes protrude outward. You know to this. So here the glumes as reduces the size, and as well yellow color exudation can be produced. So coming to the management practices, flotation, brain flotation of contaminated seed lot in brain solution is a very very important. Brain flotation method can be recommended for wheat tundu disease, and as well as this anguna triticum or whatever it has different types of names. Make sure you guys can remember all the names. So the brain flotation can be recommended for this wheat tundu. So 18 kilograms of salt in 110 liters of water can make the appropriate concentration for brain solution. So growing resistant varieties like Sharbati, Sonar and E9176 can be recommended along with summer blowing and crop rotation. So affected plants should be located and uprooted carefully and can be burnt. This is also one of the management practices, so that if we do this and we can avoid the inoculum and can further spread of the disease. So coming to questions related to net and ARS, so uh, questions like stem wheat stem rust is caused by Puccinia graminis triticum, and wheat stem rust is otherwise called as wheat black rust. Make sure it has two names: wheat stem rust or wheat black rust, which is caused by Puccinia graminis triticum. And there are five spores are which are there in in wheat stem rust, that is spore 0, I mean stage 0, that is Pycnia or Pycniospore, stage 1 Asium or Asiospore, stage 2 Iridium or Iridiospore, stage 4, stage 3 Telia or Teliospore, stage 4 that is Basidia or Basidiospore. Make sure that stage 0 and stage 1 that occurs in Barbary, whereas stage 2 and stage 3 occurs in as wheat, and stage 4 that is our basidiospore that occurs in soil. Make sure that, and they will have, they can ask they can also ask related to color of the spores. Regarding color of the spores, I told you that wheat stem rust life cycle. I already did a great video on wheat stem rust life cycle. Go and check out in my principles of plant pathology videos. You can go and check in playlist itself. So I did a detailed and great explanation on about wheat stem rust. So, and one more thing here, different types of spores, that is wheat stem rust, sorry, different types of rust, that is wheat stem rust or wheat brown rust or orange rust or stripe rust. So make sure that they may definitely ask some questions related to these three types of rust, or differentiation between these three types of rust also very very important. Coming to one more important and very common question that everybody can see is wheat loose mud is a internally seed-borne pathogen. It's a very 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 important. Wheat loose mud is, they will ask questions like, say, wheat loose mud is a internally seed-borne pathogen, externally seed-borne pathogen, both internal and external seed-borne pathogen, or something else they will mention, or nothing like that, something like that they will mention. But wheat loose mud is the best example of internally seed-borne pathogen. So coming to the solar heat treatment, I already told you the 4 hours of cold treatment, then shade drying, and 4 hours, and then seed treatment with carbendazim at the rate of 2 gram per kilogram of or 4 gram per kilogram of seeds. Solar heat treatment. Sometimes they may ask short questions related to this. Or Tundu disease. At the end we had seen a Tundu disease, which is a nematode bacterial complex. Tundu disease or yellow ear cowgirl disease, which is caused by Anguna triticum or Corynebacterium triticum. Definitely they will ask this question, and I had seen in many places. So these are the probable or possible questions that they can ask from wheat.